computer. Awesome. And so I've got Meredith Koch here, live from Boston. And so Meredith, tell everybody how you were injured and what your injury is.
So the day before my 25th birthday, it was May 29th, 2015, a piano fell on top of me as it was getting lifted out of the back of a pickup truck. And that ended up shattering my sternum, as well as giving me a burst fracture of my first lumbar vertebrae. Essentially, I was paralyzed from the waist down. And that was where I kind of began, was just the absolute basics.
Okay. And so when did you start adaptive sports? And did you do any sports before your injury?
Before I got hurt, I danced for ballet about like 6 hours a week. I would ski in the winter with my family. That was kind of like my main recreational sport. And then I was running half marathons. I actually ran a half marathon 5 days before I got hurt. And then I would swim to cross train. So I was definitely an athlete beforehand, not elite or super competitive, but it was something I enjoyed. And then after I got hurt, it was one of my biggest questions. Like, I asked my spinal surgeon in the ICU, I was like, can I ski again? And he was like, why? Aren't you concerned more about walking? And I was like, well, yeah. Like, we'll get there. We'll get there. But can I ski again? And he was like, yeah, you'll just use adaptive equipment. So when I was at Spalding Rehab Hospital in Boston, my inpatient therapist took me out cycling because they kind of picked up on the fact pretty quickly that I'm a competitive person and that I did sports beforehand. So they got me out on a bike about maybe 3 weeks after my accident. And it was really, truly the first moment I felt like me again, despite being paralyzed. And so from there, I just started doing anything and everything that people introduced me to. So I did a little bit of adaptive kayaking, continued with the adaptive cycling as an outpatient, tried some like stand-up paddleboarding, which is really just me sitting on the stand-up paddleboard. And then once we got to the winter, I got clearance from my spinal surgeon that all of the titanium that was inside of me had healed nicely. And I got the go-ahead to try adaptive rock climbing and adaptive skiing, pretty much anything I wanted to try. So I started doing adaptive skiing, and by the end of the season, my family took a little vacation out to Steamboat, one of our favorite places. And it was in the Steamboat adaptive ski program that I met Craig. And he was in the background as I was kind of transitioning from sit-down skiing in a monoski to stand-up skiing as a four-tracker because my legs had kind of gotten strong enough to do that. But now my main sport really is swimming. It's a little bit easier to do on a frequent basis in Boston, especially when you work a full-time job. But I still do have a passion for skiing and just trying to get over that learning curve.
Yeah. And tell us, what are your goals with adaptive swimming? Because I think that's super important too, to talk about what you're doing right now.
So the main goal for swimming is just to be healthy. Like, I can't run anymore. It's my main sport now. It's actually between swimming and, spoiler alert, taking Juice Plus. I've been able to get off all of my prescription meds. And I've started having some positive neurological recovery in the last 6 months since I really cranked up my swimming. So I swim before work a couple days a week and then on the weekends. But all of this is kind of culminating towards, I compete in the Paralympic circuit, not on any teams yet, but working towards emerging team in 2018. And with the goal of at least competing in the trials for the team trials for the 2020 Paralympics for Tokyo.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I love putting those goals out there because then, it can come to fruition. Everybody can hold that energy for you and help you create that and manifest that. And I loved, Craig and I actually went down to Colorado Springs and watched Meredith compete. Was that your first competition?
No, that was my third swim meet, but
Okay.
It was
early.
Really the first elite one that I was at. Yeah, it was great having you guys there and cheering me on and seeing me almost drown during the 100-meter butterfly. That's not my favorite race.
I don't think that's anybody's favorite race. I remember Craig saying that it wasn't his favorite race either when he swam competitively.
It was brutal.
So then last question is, like you said, spoiler alert, I love that. What has Juice Plus done for you? I mean, actually back up a little bit too and talk about how Craig started talking about Juice Plus with you. But yeah, why it's so important for you to share this with others. Because what has it done for you?
So I first learned about Juice Plus from one of Craig's posts on Facebook about like he'd gone for his like 10-year checkup or something, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're so healthy," or saying something about like how he hasn't had a UTI. And at the time, which was the fall of 2016, I was getting UTIs every 2 to 3 months with my spinal cord injury. And it's unfortunately something that with a spinal cord injury, little anatomy lesson, none of your pelvic floor works. So you're introducing something external every single time you need to go to the bathroom. And so you just increased your risk for infection like 100-fold, maybe 1,000-fold compared to a normal person. And it's something that everyone with spinal cord injury struggles with is UTI management. And I was like, wait, how does he not get them? Because I was told that men get them more than women do. And I was like, something, like, tell me what's up. So Craig and I had the chat. He told me not only like does he not get UTIs, but he is doing so much better, like bone density wise, which is a huge issue when you don't weight bear as much as normal people. And just like how good he felt. And I was like, at this point, I've tried everything that I can think of for my UTIs. Let's give it a shot. Like worst case scenario, I get UTIs and I say, okay, it didn't work. Instead, I haven't gotten a single UTI since I started Juice Plus. And there've been some times when I'm like, warning signs. And I just like double up on the Juice Plus and down water for 24 hours and flush it out. So it's been great. And I think between that and some of my other, like more swimming and stuff, you know, being able to get off prescription painkillers, that's pretty huge. I feel like I recover pretty decently from the rigorous rehab schedule and swimming that I put myself through, in addition to working a full-time job. And I use the Juice Plus shakes now as my like recovery drink after swimming, and my body's like, ooh, this is so nice.
Yeah, you know, that just made me think too is I remember the first shred that you went through not very long ago, a few months back, and you know, you were like, oh, cut out gluten, or you know, cut out dairy, or cut out my carbs, you know, I need, you know, I feel like I need this to recover. Can you talk about that for a minute or so too?
So I kind of set some goals for the first shred and then took it a step further the second one, 'cause just with my job and everything, I was like, I don't think I can do this. Will like not eat at 6, like after 6.
Yeah.
But I just set it to like, okay, know what you're going to eat. So as soon as you get home from work, you can eat, because with leaving home at 5:30 for swim practice before work, I'm already taking breakfast and lunch with me. So like to eat a real meal, that was going to like, and it needed to be something substantial so I could swim the next morning. But I really made an effort to like not eat dairy and to like find gluten-free alternatives. And it felt good. Like I was doing better the second time in terms of like I could notice more because I had made some more changes and planned better for it.
Yeah, as with everything, it takes practice, you know.
Yeah, it's a preparation game.
Right. The preparation for sure is huge. I mean, I usually prepare 2 or 3 days in advance. You know, I'll make some snacks and make some sweets, you know, not sweets with the complete powder. You know,
the little energy ball bite things, those are like my favorite.
Yeah, that's a
I actually
go-to.
bake some of them into cookies, and those are really good.
Nice. Awesome. Well, awesome. Is there anything else that you feel like I've missed or we've left out that you wanted to share?
I just think it's really interesting, like how many different things it applies to, and how many different places I can see that it's impacted my life, and that, you know, I don't get sick as often as most people do. Like I have a pretty good immune system. It was really funny, actually. The reason you guys are watching a recording is because I came down with a raging cellulitis infection. And when this call is going, I'm supposed to be doing an IV home infusion. But when I was in the hospital, I made sure my Juice Plus got brought to the hospital. And one of my PAs was like, is that Juice Plus? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, I'm glad you have that, because like you're not eating anything. I was like, yeah, I'm basically carb loading for the Vanco. Like that was the only thing I would eat, was like any form of gluten-free carb I could get my hands on, and peanut butter. And I was like, don't worry, I'm trying to get everything working. Like I'm at least taking Juice Plus. She's like, yeah, keep taking that. So
awesome.
It's
That's
interesting,
awesome
like who you run into, who knows what it is, and they're like, oh yeah, that's great stuff. So, you know, make it on your essential list if you ever end up in a hospital.
Right. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of stories like that too. So, well, thank you, Meredith, for all of your insights, your story, and your sharing your beautiful face, even though you're not feeling so good right now. So thank you. And for meeting me early, first thing in the morning to record this. So
Absolutely. Got me on my good time.
love you, girl. Yeah. All right. Let's